Welcome, Motion Makers, to the Motion Makers Podcast. I'm Nolan.
I am, in fact, Amber.
You are, in fact, Amber.
I
think that's my favorite part of every podcast. This is one of the many things that we do here at Cultivating Kentucky.
Yes.
Yes. Amber, how are we getting started? Why are we here?
Why are we
Who
here?
are we? What are we doing?
Well-
What is Cultivating Kentucky? What in the world is all of this?
Honestly, now that you ask me so many questions, I don't even know.
Yeah, so I don't know where to start.
Where to begin? I am, in fact, Amber.
You are, in fact, Amber. All right, let's start here. Why are we doing a podcast?
Okay. We're doing a podcast because we're trying to start a nonprofit called Cultivating Kentucky. And this is, as he said, one of the many things that we do here at Cultivating Kentucky. Because our mission is to build meaningful connections in order to end isolation. And we feel like one of the first ways that we can do that is by starting the conversation. And the second way that we want to do that is by creating safe spaces for conversations like this. So this, for us, is just the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. So we're a part of Cultivating Kentucky, the nonprofit, but this podcast is Motion Makers, a gentle revolution of community care.
I've lived here my whole life in Union County. One of the things that I have always noticed about Union County, and it's something that I think everybody can understand, is that there's just nothing to do in Union County. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we are wanting to address with Union County is when you have a community of people surrounding you, you won't feel as though there's nothing to do and nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. Like the best thing for anybody in any place at any time is to be surrounded by people they care about. That is what I think gives people the most joy and the most peace in their entire lives. And if we can create that culture in Union County where there's this togetherness, I think it begins to solve some of those problems.
I agree, and I think that Union County is honestly the best place to start for this kind of community culture change, because as somebody that's not from this county, I have found the majority of people I've met are interested in creating that change so that we do feel surrounded. Just this week I was working at Izzy's on Main in Bells and Whistles, and I came in the door, and as I came in the door, Ashley Greenwell came around the corner and gave me a hug as soon as I walked in, like before I even was in the building. And that is the kind of community that we're talking about.
Absolutely. So I talked about I grew up here my whole life, mm-hmm. right? I've been here. You are from Michigan?
I am from Michigan.
How did you end up in Union County creating the head of a nonprofit about community? How did that happen? Tell me why you're here.
Okay, so I am Josie Watson's daughter-in-law, which...
You're Josie Watson?
The Josie
You're
Watson.
her daughter-in-law?
I am.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so blessed. Honestly, so in a couple episodes we're going to interview her because she's a major part of Cultivating Kentucky, mm-hmm. and really the biggest reason why we got started.
Absolutely. She's the reason we're here.
She is the reason we're here, yes. And so Josie, as my mother-in-law, has known what's on my heart for a long time, and she believed in this kind of a space that we wanted to create, because one of the things that we want to do is start a community center eventually. And so that was something that Josie and I had been working on in Michigan, trying to start, but it was just like not working. So then she would come home to Union County and she would talk to people like Nolan and find out that people here wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. And so one day she just brought us all together.
Yep.
And so that is why we are what we are, is because Josie's ability to connect. So really, to answer your question, the short answer is I'm here because Josie saw me, mm-hmm. and believed in me, and then brought it all together so that we would begin something.
Absolutely. Yep, I think she did the right thing. I think you were the right person to kind of take the reins, because I had been talking to Josie for a little bit about starting a community center and trying to put some plans into place, and then she started telling me about her daughter-in-law, who would be the perfect person to kind of take this and run with it. And so she brought you in as kind of the leader of the organization, and it was a good decision. So that's why she's here. So we talked about Cultivating Kentucky being a nonprofit, and the name of this podcast is Motion Makers. And I think here in a little bit we're going to get to a little bit more about what it means to be a motion maker and what a gentle revolution in community culture actually is and what that actually means. But before we get there, we really want to kind of dive into who we are. So, Amber,
Yes.
you are in fact Amber.
I am in fact Amber.
Who are you?
This is the worst question ever, and I hate it. But as I was trying to plan this episode, I was listening to a podcast with Simon Sinek on it, and he said,
He's useless.
"Oh yeah, we don't like him."
Oh,
Just kidding. He's
Simon
awesome.
Sinek is gross.
I listen to him almost
I love that guy.
weekly.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's the best. He said something to the effect of, "I am not defined by what I do. Who I am is not what I do," or something like that. And when he said that, I was like, that is something that I've been trying to articulate and unable to. So I will tell you.
To that,
Yeah.
just sorry to interrupt you
No.
real quick, but to that, that is absolutely something that you have been articulating for quite some time. Like our first meeting with, I think it was the first meeting with Cultivating Kentucky, the group of people that were starting it. You're like, oh, tell me who you are, but you can't tell me your titles. And I really struggled through that. I'm like,
you
I
did.
am what I do. That is 100% true.
We still talk about that like almost weekly because I'm like, oh, that's right. Nolan is the Rise. The Rise is Nolan.
I am the pastor. I am a dad. That is who I am.
Yeah.
There is-
Which there are things that are fair about that because in this season, those are very defining things that you're doing. And I have things like that too. But I have struggled in my life figuring out who I am and like how I define myself because of that.
I 100% cannot answer that question without a title.
Oh.
I can't. I don't have the ability. I tried. I tried really hard. Couldn't do it.
Sorry, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Yeah. So, Amber,
Yeah.
I interrupted you in the middle of your spiel. Sorry about that.
I was just
Thought all
saying
of that
why I
was
hate
important.
your question.
It's your question.
I set it up on purpose, okay?
So, Amber, other than sassy, who are you?
Okay, fair. Let me tell you how I am sassy. And my brother, who's like much older than me, told me one time when I was like in middle school, he was like, "Don't be sassy." And I was like, I don't know how to not be sassy.
I don't have it in me.
No, okay, bringing it back to what Simon Sinek said, he followed that up with, "I am an optimist," which I wish I were an optimist.
That's
but
a great
I'm not.
answer. I'm not either, not even close.
And I don't have like a full answer like that. Like I'm not an optimist, I can tell you that. Sometimes I don't even know that what I think I am is true. But I guess I am hopeful.
Okay.
That would be fair. We've already established I'm sassy.
She is, in fact, hopeful.
I am in fact hopeful. I am in fact sassy. I am in fact also, I think a doer.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a problem with getting into the mud to do the thing.
I see how you kind of changed this a little bit. You are not what you do, so now you're just saying that you are a doer. I see what you did there. If I can't name the things that I do, then I'm just going to name being a doer.
Well, it's true. Give me a thing
Very
to do and I'll
clever.
do it.
Very clever, I see.
I didn't mean to.
I see.
But also my roles, because it is fair to answer in that way. I'm a mom. I have 2 little boys. I am a wife. I married my high school sweetheart.
Aw.
We just had our 16-year together anniversary.
What?
Yeah, he's cool. I like him. I think I'll keep him. I also am a business owner. As he said, I'm a volunteer director of Cultivating Kentucky. And I try to be a good friend to the people that I love. Those are the things that are important to me.
That's good. Well, I am, in fact, Nolan. Now I have an answer.
All right, let's go. I'm super excited.
Since you said that Simon Sinek said that he is an optimist,
Yeah.
that initially clicked with me because I am definitely not an optimist. Not even a little bit. I am a skeptic.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything, ever, about anything. Like, what is that phrase? Believe, not going to be able to come up with it. Believe nothing. We'll go there.
Yeah.
I call myself all the time the eternal skeptic because I have a really hard time. If somebody just gives me a piece of information, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I read something somewhere, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I hear the news say something, I'm like, I don't know about that. Sometimes Kelsey will tell me something about her day, and I'm like, are you sure that's the way that went?
And then she wants to punch you.
I'm sure she does. I'm like, all right, but are you positive though that that's the way that
Yeah.
went? Like, I just have a hard time accepting everything, and so that's a big part of who I am as a skeptic. That's interesting.
Ooh, okay.
But as far as roles, I'm a pastor, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm awesome.
He is awesome.
And super, super humble. Just
Yeah.
ask me, I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah. I do know that to be true as well.
So that's a little bit about me. Oh, this question is awesome. When are you your favorite version of yourself?
Okay. I did come up with that question. I'm going to take ownership of it for a second because somebody was saying something about the who are you question and how when we define ourselves, a lot of the time we define ourselves by what we want to be. So instead of defining myself by what I want to be, I want to define myself by when I actually am my favorite person. Which, when I think of that, I think of, I'm from Michigan, so we have a cabin on a lake that I grew up going to. My grandparents, I inherited it from my grandparents. And when I go there, I am the best version of myself. I am just usually not stressed, which I'm usually not working, so that's part of it, which makes me a better parent. Honestly, I'm my favorite version of myself when I'm fully connected and that place allows me to be connected to my people. And it's not even fancy or anything, but I always want to invite my favorite people there because I know that I'm my best version of myself when I'm there.
Yeah.
I like to go kayak in the morning, which one of our neighbors, Janine, she kayaks every month of the year, which Michigan is the winter wonderland, so that's amazing. If it's obviously
Not
if it's
in
iced
Michigan.
over, she can't, but she
That'd
could
be
this
interesting.
year.
She'd just be on the ice.
Yeah. She could this year because we didn't have ice all year, so I think that that's cool. But
Or if it was like really hard ice, she'd just be in her kayak trying to scoot it. Like,
this is working really well.
yeah.
Yeah, that's when I'm my favorite version of myself when I'm connected. Which part of that I think has to do with nature too, because the back half of that lake is a nature preserve, and so I can go get lost a little bit. I like that. I guess solitude, nature, and connection.
Yeah, that's good.
What about you?
I am my favorite version of myself when I'm highly caffeinated.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's a joke, but
I know.
it's kind of true. I don't sleep well, and so when I'm highly caffeinated, I feel like I'm really myself. Or if I get a good night of sleep, which is rare, that's good. Also, really, I think when I am outside in the middle of the spring doing something I like, like I like to play games with my kids, and we play this. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like one of the kids like pretends to be asleep, and they have like these items around them or whatever, and I have to stand by the tree and like run to try to get one of the items and get back to the tree before they can catch me and tag me. Like, it's one of my favorite games to play with them. And whenever it's like warm but not too warm, but it's kind of cool but not too cool outside, and the sun is shining and we're outside playing games, or I'm outside watching them play games and reading a book, or I'm writing or something like that, just outside in the spring or in the late fall when the sun is shining, doing something I like.
Yeah, that's cool.
It actually puts me in like a really good mood just thinking about. Maybe I just close my eyes and pretend the sun is shining.
Yeah, honestly.
Today is actually the perfect example of that.
Yeah. I was
That kind of
thinking that
day,
when you
because
said
it's
that.
like, it's going to be like, my favorite temperature is 67 degrees, and it's going to be just above that today, and the sun is going to shine today, and so today is a great day.
You would like Michigan because you just explained what a Michigan summer is like.
Maybe Michigan will be my summer home.
Yeah, right. That's my summer home.
So that's when I'm the best or the favorite version of
that's
myself.
cool.
I don't know. I'm probably the best version of myself when I am highly caffeinated.
Yeah.
But my favorite version of myself is outside in the spring.
Playing with the kids, reading or writing.
Yeah.
That's super tracks. Also, when you said that, you're like Bluey's dad, aren't you? That's all I could think about.
That's funny. I almost said Kelsey. Leah loves Bluey. That's her favorite show.
So does
Now, because of Bluey, we don't go on vacation anymore. We go on holiday.
Oh.
We are British now in our house.
We love that so much.
Leah keeps saying, because we're Easter Sunday, we're leaving to go on vacation. She keeps saying, we're going on holiday in 2 sweeps.
That's
so
awesome.
sweet.
That's so sweet. Aw.
So we did Who Are You?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we here? We've gone through a little bit of that, I think.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah, you can. You
Okay.
can do whatever you want. This is your deal.
It is kind of, but also yours. Okay, I want to talk about why it's important to define who you are and like why we spent however many minutes talking about that, because the next thing we're gonna talk about is why motion makers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I caught you before you could ask me because I want to catch the who are you question before I get into the motion maker question. Because when I define what a motion maker is, the first step in being a motion maker is knowing who you are on a level that no matter what your circumstances, that doesn't change. And I think that's why I hate the who are you question.
Right.
Because my circumstances can change rapidly
Right.
without my control. But who I am, and honestly, because I love God also, who I am remains because of who He is remains.
Mm.
And I think that that's important. Thanks. I think that that's important to address at the beginning of Motion Makers and Cultivating Kentucky, because the reason why we're here really is to invite people to become motion makers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the first invitation is to answer that for yourself. So who are you? Don't tell me your roles. And when are you your favorite version of yourself? I hope that as a listener that you kind of take that question with you a little bit and journal, think on it, whatever. So
Whatever you do the
whatever you
things.
do, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a really good segue into what does it mean to be a motion maker? What does motion maker mean? Where did that come from? Why did we choose it for the name of the podcast? All those questions.
Okay, so starting with where it came from. It came from the French Revolution. Before the French Revolution was a revolution, there were cafes in Paris where people would go to meet, and as they met, there were what they called orators that would stand up and read the paper and create conversation, and everybody at the cafe would be a part of that conversation. So when we were learning that story, we were like, this is exactly what we're trying to create with Cultivating Kentucky. We're trying to create the environment where people can have those conversations. We're trying to create people that want to have those conversations. Mm-hmm. We're trying to invite people into that kind of culture. And so as we have kind of like jumped into the podcast, after looking at what those, they called them the motion makers, the orators that would start the conversation, the les motionnaires in the French Revolution. But what they did was they started a conversation that created a revolution. And so when we say motion makers, a gentle revolution in community culture, we'll get to the revolution part, but I'll say first, we're not trying to start a violent revolution like the French Revolution was.
We're not?
Not today.
I'm out.
Bye.
I choose violence.
Yeah. But what we are trying to do when we start those conversations is invite people to change. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a motion maker is a person that creates a safe space and invites people to change. And I have another definition of that I think will also speak to where we're going with the podcast.
Yeah.
So we are re-recording this episode as the first episode because we recorded other episodes. And then when I was listening back to them,
she's like, this is awful. This Nolan guy, he can't get it together.
I did have to bring him a slinky because sometimes he does weird things. Just kidding.
No, she's not. I'm not ashamed of it.
Okay, good. No, I decided we're re-recording the episode because we had audio issues. But as I watched back the other episodes we did, I was able to better define what a motion maker is. Okay, so these are the 4 things that I think it takes to be a motion maker. 1 is a hope for a better future. So when you meet a motion maker in your life, you kind of already know them.
Yep.
Like, you can think of these people. They have a hope for a better future. And then number 2, they have a personal value system, which then leads to number 3, which is participation in that hope. So they have a hope, and they're working towards that hope, and kind of their guide for working towards that hope is their personal value system. And you can do all 3 of those things all by yourself.
Yep. And you can kind of do them subconsciously as well. It gives you a greater sense of direction and purpose whenever you have all of these things defined. Mm-hmm. But I think most of the people that I know would be a type of motion maker don't know yet to define those things specifically. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times motion makers can be created by knowing these things and moving with purpose. And for some people, it's innate to who they are, and they kind of do these things subconsciously without even realizing it.
Yes, I agree. And also, in the next episodes, you're going to hear us kind of challenge and invite you to define your hope and define your personal value system, and then participate in those things. Mm-hmm. Because we know that that's what it takes to change community culture, because it starts with an individual. And so the first 3 things are very individual things, and you kind of have to start there. But the 4th thing is really where Cultivating Kentucky comes in, and it is that you are doing those 3 things and you're not doing them alone. Really, the reason for that is because if you have a hope and a value system and you're participating in that hope and you're doing it by yourself, you're going to go somewhere. You are, because there's intention and there's purpose and there's meaning there. But you're also going to miss something if you're going at it alone. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of our drive behind both this podcast and Cultivating Kentucky.
Yep.
So the 4th thing, not doing it alone. That's where Cultivating Kentucky comes in. And here's why that's important. When you begin to look at having your hope, your personal value system, and how you're participating in that hope, and then you're like, wait, I can't do this alone. Honestly, Nolan, have you been there? Mm-hmm. Where you've been like, wait, I can't do this alone? Yeah. Okay, me too. Yeah. Can you speak to that a little bit, or do you not want to? Because it's okay if you don't.
Yeah, I can briefly. I have found that I am capable of doing a lot more by myself than I realized I was, but I am not capable of accomplishing everything that I desire to accomplish alone. It's just not possible. I think connection with people and building relationships with people enables you to make the type of impact that magnifies by an order of magnitude. Like it doesn't just, when you get 2 people together, they're not just able to do 2 times the amount of work that one person could do. Like they're able to do like 5 times the amount of work that one person could do. And when 5 people get together, they're not able to do 5 times the amount of work that one person could do. They're able to do 100 times the amount of work, or accomplish the type of impact that one person can accomplish. I think you even see that played out in the Gospels. Really, like Jesus could have, Jesus is the exception. He could have done all of that stuff by himself. But whenever he resurrected and he ascended back into heaven, if he only had one close disciple with him, that one disciple was not going to be able to spread Christianity across the known world where it reaches us in Union County, Kentucky, over 2,000 years later. Right. He had 12. And even though 12 is not a big group, like it's a big enough group, and the type of impact that a group was able to have, even though that group was small, it was magnified by an order of magnitude that couldn't have been possible if it were just one.
I think also coming back to Jesus could have done it by himself, but he chose not to.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in the choice that's important. Like, we're asking and inviting you to choose not to do it all alone. And that takes a level of vulnerability and humility, and honestly can make you really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what there is to be gained in not doing it alone is far higher than the cost of the vulnerability or the humility or any of that. And I think that that brings us to two questions about not doing it alone. The first question is, how do I let someone in? And also, we can pause there and say that not everybody is the right someone. And so I think that that's where people get stuck too, because like you let in the wrong person and you can get hurt.
Absolutely. Bad company corrupts good character.
Is that a proverb?
It is. In 1 Corinthians, Paul wrote it to the church of Corinth. It actually is believed to be a pagan proverb from their time. When he was writing to the church of Corinth, we can go over a Bible lesson another time. It was believed to be a proverb from a pagan city.
Okay.
But it was applicable to what he was trying to teach. The church at Corinth most of them were involved in other religions, worshiping other gods at one time, and he was trying to connect with them. And so he used something that they already knew to connect with them. That phrase, bad company corrupts good character, was believed to be widely used around that city of Corinth at that time.
Well, and it's true teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. It is absolutely true.
So the question of how do I let someone in is something that we want to address with Cultivating Kentucky, and we will also address it in this podcast because we're going to talk about how to create safe spaces where you can find the right people, because that takes some trial and error.
Yep.
And then, so the first question is, how do I let someone in? And the second question is, when do I let someone in? Which comes down to knowing who the right person is. But I think that if you don't get past the first question, how do I let someone in, you can't get to the second question.
Absolutely.
And the when question, when do I let someone in, has to do with trusting someone. So that also takes trial and error. It takes relational currency, kind of like when you spend time together, your relational bank with a person just gets more and more. So it takes creating trust, and it takes being trustworthy yourself. And so those are the things that are really important to the entire thing that we're trying to do here: becoming a motion maker, creating a gentle revolution, and recognizing that that gentle revolution is going to cause change in the community culture.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got anything else over there?
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you for joining us for this beautiful, wonderful, amazing conversation. We hope to see you back next week.
Yes.
Same bat time,
Same bat place.